Rowdy and Unforgettable, the chaotic legacy of WWE's legend Roddy Piper before his death. When a hot rod or Roddy Piper stepped into the ring, you never knew what to expect. He was a master of chaos both inside and outside the squared circle. But even legends have their dark sides. Let's take a look at the controversies that surrounded Piper's career and relive the tragic death of our legend. Roddy Piper was a huge star in professional wrestling, mainly famous during his time with the World Wrestling Federation, now WWE, and World Championship Wrestling, WCW, between 1984 and 2000. Originally from Canada, Piper played up his Scottish heritage by wearing a kilt and using bagpipe music for his entrances, making him a unique figure in the wrestling world. Everyone knew him as a rowdy and a hot rod because of his quick temper and sharp sense of humor, which made him the perfect wrestling bad guy, or heel as they call it. Piper was a big deal, headlining massive events like WrestleMania for WWF and Starrcade for WCW. He won a whopping 34 championships and even hosted his own interview segment called The Piper's Pit, which was a big part of developing the ongoing storylines and feuds in wrestling. In 2005, his contributions were officially recognized when he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame by Ric Flair, who called him the most gifted entertainer in the history of professional wrestling. Piper's blend of charisma and knack for entertainment made him a legend in the wrestling scene. But his career was not without some terrible controversies. Piper was known for delivering unscripted promos that sometimes contained racist, homophobic, or misogynistic language, which upset many viewers and affected his image negatively. Beyond his words, Piper was also known for his physical altercations. Not confined to clashes with fellow wrestlers, these confrontations sometimes extended to fans, exacerbating the controversy surrounding him and fueling discussions about his conduct both in and out of the ring. One of the most contentious parts of Piper's career involved his storylines, particularly his feud with Mr. T, which was laden with racist stereotypes. These storylines drew sharp criticism for their insensitivity and for perpetuating harmful stereotypes, reflecting poorly on the wrestling industry's approach to narrative and character development at the time. In more recent years, several accusations of harassment have surfaced against Piper. These allegations, though unproven, have prompted a re-evaluation of his personal conduct and added a layer of complexity to his public persona. Despite these significant issues, Roddy Piper remains a notable figure in the wrestling world. His contributions to the sport and his impact on popular culture cannot be overlooked. He was a performer who brought intensity and flair to the ring, entertaining millions and shaping the course of professional wrestling. While these controversies are part of his story, they coexist with his achievements, making him a complex and enduring figure in the history of the sport. Everything was going well until one day, tragedy struck and took his precious life away. Piper passed away peacefully in his sleep on July 31, 2015. He was 61 years old and was at his summer home in Los Angeles, California. The cause of death was cardiopulmonary arrest due to high blood pressure, and a pulmonary embolism also played a role. Just before he passed away, Piper appeared on The Rich Eisen Show, where he seemed a bit off, having trouble focusing and responding to questions. People didn't think much of it at the time because he was known to be quite a character. His death was a real shock, especially since he had just beaten Hodgkin's lymphoma and seemed to be doing well health-wise. This news hit the wrestling community and his fans really hard as they hadn't expected to lose him so suddenly. As a tribute to his legacy, let us learn a thing or two about his dynamic personality and incredible career. Roddy Piper, born on April 17, 1954, in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, had a fascinating life. He grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and attended Windsor Park Collegiate. His dad's family worked for the CN Rail Police. Piper had a tough childhood, getting expelled from junior high for carrying a knife. After a big fight with his dad, he left home and stayed in youth hostels, picking up odd jobs at gyms and running errands for wrestlers. He learned to play the bagpipes and became friends with many wrestlers, moving into professional wrestling. Piper claimed to have won the Golden Gloves Boxing Championship, although there's no record of it. He earned a black belt in judo from Jean LaBelle and started wrestling in Canada. His first match involved midget wrestlers, and he wrestled in the American Wrestling Association, AWA, and began wrestling in Canada under promoter Al Tomko. Piper's career took off when he was given the name Roddy the Piper, after an announcer called him that. By 1975, Piper was a top villain in NWA Hollywood Wrestling, where he created his Rowdy character. He had a memorable feud with Chavo Guerrero Sr. and stirred up the local Mexican community with his antics, like playing a La Cucaracha instead of the Mexican national anthem. Piper also wrestled as the Masked Canadian until Hector Guerrero unmasked him. In Portland, he teamed with Killer Tim Brooks and Rick Martel, winning several championships. In the early 1980s, Piper wrestled in the Mid-Atlantic territory, defeating Jack Briscoe for the Mid-Atlantic title and Ric Flair for the U.S. belt. He also became a commentator on Georgia Championship Wrestling, where he became a fan favorite after saving commentator Gordon Solie from an attack by Don Morocco. Piper's popularity soared, and his feud with Greg Valentine led to a brutal dog collar match at the first Starrcade, where Piper suffered permanent hearing damage. Piper joined the WWF full-time in 1984, initially as a manager before wrestling full-time. He became famous for his interview segment at Piper's Pit, and where he had memorable confrontations like smashing a coconut over Jimmy Snuka's head. Piper feuded with Hulk Hogan and played a significant role in the first WrestleMania, teaming with Paul Orndorff against Hogan and Mr. T. Their match at WrestleMania 2, a boxing bout, ended with Piper body-slamming Mr. T, leading to his disqualification. After a brief break, Piper returned to the WWF in 1986, feuding with Adrian Adonis, who had replaced Piper's Pit with the Flower Shop. Their rivalry led to a hair versus hair match at WrestleMania 3, which Piper won before retiring to pursue acting. Piper returned to the WWF in 1989, resuming his in-ring career and co-hosting primetime wrestling. He feuded with Rick Rude and Bad News Brown, the latter involving a controversial blackface incident. Piper won the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship in 1992, but soon lost it to Bret Hart. He left the WWF again in 1994 but returned intermittently as a referee and authority figure, including a stint as WWF president in 1996. If you found this dive into the chaotic and compelling world of Hot Rod or Roddy Piper as intriguing as we did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more wrestling history and insights. Share your favorite Piper moment in the comments below and let us know who you'd like us to cover next on the channel. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep the spirit of wrestling alive.